y'all, I'm Hope here at Crafty Hope. Welcome. I am working on the Index Card a Day challenge. This challenge ran in June and July, and I am just now getting some of these videos to you. It's taking a little bit of time. I'm hoping to kind of maybe speed up that process soon. We'll see how that goes. Index Card a Day is also known as ICAD, and it comes from Tammy Garcia. She has daily themes and weekly prompts to help inspire this challenge, but they are not necessary. The whole point of the challenge is to create every day for those 2 months and just do it on an index card, something small, and to work on your creativity. So, yeah, I'll have Tammy's links below. In addition, my friend Nina Fickett offers up some other prompts that she calls Mixed Media ICAD. So on this day, which is day 40, now I'm going to share with y'all in this video days 40, 41, and 42. But this is day 40, and the prompts were parchment and tabs. And I don't really use either one of these. I thought I was going to use the parchment one, but my parchment colored paint had dried up, so I tossed it. And I think I said that in my Instagram post. So I started instead with some collage, and I don't know if you can tell, but those are all old bits of Artist Almanac. And I think that's Artist Almanac 2022, maybe? Yeah, I think that's right. But I tore that down and used some fluid matte medium to stick it down, and to kind of bring it all together and push it back a little. I put down a little bit, well, probably more than I needed, of some white gesso and brayered it out. I didn't even bother trying to, I don't know, dry it or anything. I'm coming straight in with this yellow, which was next to where my parchment would have been. And this, I think, it's an Americana. It's called Golden Straw. And you see, I am putting it down just with my finger and then scraping into it with a bamboo skewer just to get a little bit more texture. So since I wasn't using the prompts for this, I really had no direction. So yeah, I was just kind of going for it, trying to see what I felt. Down in that lower left corner, you may not be able to see it, but there's a little bit of like a hint of like a red or something like that. And I'm going to kind of let that guide me. That's like one of the few things that's showing through from that bit of the Artist Almanac. So I am blurring the edges a little bit of this. Like I said, the gesso is still wet and that golden straw is still wet. So I'm blurring the edges a little bit with just some water on a paintbrush and then drying it. I felt like I needed some texture, some additional texture in. So I grabbed my Stays On jet black ink, and this is the Ledger Script stamps from Tim Holtz. And I think Stampers Anonymous. And yeah, so I'm just putting that around on my card for a little bit of additional texture, kind of to, since I whited everything out with that gesso, I figured why not? So did that real quick. And then, like I said, that little bit of red, you can kind of see it there on that bottom left, made me grab my woody pencils, these crayons, that's what they are. They are woody crayons from Stabilo. They're water soluble, but I'm actually not going to hit them with water. And I might, I don't know. I'm just making some big marks all the way across it. And that was feeling, I don't know, very ketchup and mustard to me. Just not really my jam. So I don't know. I'm going to try to push it back here in a minute. But first I decided to go around each of these scribbles with some more scribbles. This is just a really basic ballpoint pen. Normally I would use my bleedier pen, but I felt like that would go around that like waxiness of the crayon better. So that's why I used the ballpoint pen. So to push back some of these colors, and I don't know, I mean, it's not looking so bad here in the picture, but I don't know, I felt like I needed something else. I grabbed my homemade texture paste. This is a mix of plaster of Paris powder, I think that's what it is, and gesso and some, I think, spackle or something from the Dollar Tree, just whatever I have on hand to like really kind of bring in some texture. So that I'm spreading it around kind of organically with that palette knife, and you can see I'm kind of patting it also to kind of pull up additional texture to get that kind of spiky-ish texture. Yeah, I did clean that a little bit because a lot of that was sticking to it. Yeah, I'm just having a good time playing. It's like playing, I don't know, like in a sandbox or something, like when you're a kid and just patting things, or maybe playing in mud. Ooh, yeah, like making mud pie types, just playing around with it. I love that this gives kind of an exposed concrete feel. I don't know. I kind of love that. So I'm going to try this real quick, go ahead and get it to cure so I can come in and start working on an actual focal for this. First, I decided to ink up the edges with some black soot distress ink. This just helps frame it up, and that darkness gave it a little bit of extra grunginess that I felt like this needed. So I cut out a huge portion of this. I flipped through this container I have of focals looking for something, and finally decided what I really liked were some of the yearbook photos, and I think I couldn't even find one that I liked. I had to go like look in my yearbooks to actually find this guy that, I don't know, just felt right to me. So I trimmed around him, just getting his profile, and pulled out of my scraps. This is a envelope. It's a security envelope. I liked the odd texture, like very, I don't know, just an odd texture. It's, yeah, organic maybe, I don't know. And I'm tearing around it, kind of making an arch-ish shape. I'll get there. I'm just like slowly tearing it down little by little to get more of an arch-like shape to frame him up. Yeah, about like that. But I realized it's kind of blending in. I need to do something else. And I don't know why. I kept leaning toward that left side. Like this, he has to be on this left side. So I grabbed my Posca paint pens. This is, you can see the red one. And decided that I'm going to do like a starburst or sunburst behind him. I've been very much in that kind of mode lately. So I'm doing that by making like a plus sign from the middle of it, then an X, and a few more lines from the middle out, just to get this like sunburst effect, like I said. I didn't do it around the bottom as much. You can see I'm kind of looking, I'm like, that's going to be covered up. It doesn't matter. So, oh, maybe I did add, okay. I'm going to add more to that in a minute. First, I'm going to ink the edges of it. And I think, I might even ink the edges of him. I do! And that's that same black soot distress ink. Just going around him and looking at him. And then I decided I needed more black, I guess, in that as well. Because he is black and white, and it felt like it needed to be more cohesive with him as well. So I grabbed, y'all, I don't even know what kind of pen this is. I think that's some kind of drawing pen from probably Five Below or something. Just a quick black pen that could work. And going around it to add lines between each of those starburst lines. And that kind of, you know, kind of, since he's black, it feels like it's almost him even kind of bursting out. I don't know. So I was tired of just looking at him and decided to go ahead and use my Uhu glue stick to glue him onto that backer, and then to go ahead and glue. Oh, first I needed to ink it a bit more, apparently, and then glue it down. Like I said, this challenge was in June and July. Y'all, we're in September. I am still, this one I definitely did, let's see, the 12th of July, I think. No, I'm sorry, the 10th of July. So it's been a few months. So I'm trying to remember what I did here. And share it with y'all. But these are definitely fun. I love working in this small format. So, okay. Next thing I'm going to do is find a sentiment. the look on his face felt very kind of snarky. So I went for my Tim Holtz snarky stickers and found the phrase, me? Sarcastic? Never. I don't know. It just felt right for this guy. So I'm going to stick that down, and I'm trying to see if that is it for this one. I'm going to futz with it a little bit more, ink this up. I'll probably use my glue stick to stick that down. And then I'm going to use my Posca pen to add a few more elements to bring that same shade of red around on the card. And I really like these little additional dots. You'll get a better look at them at the end of this video. I'll have some close-ups of all three of the cards I'm sharing with you today. But I'll give you a quick look at it in just a second, and then at the end of the video you'll see it more. But yeah, I'm just putting some dots around on the card to, I don't know, to bring that color around elsewhere in the card. Okay, once that's done, we will move on in just a second to card number 41. The prompts for card 41 are forest green and fabric. And you can see I've pulled out two things. One is some Stays On ink, and the color on the ink pad actually says forest green. It was the only thing in my stash I could find that said forest green. And then for fabric, I did pull out some like rust-dyed fabric from my stash, but I'm going to end up futzing with it for a while. I actually cut that out of the video because it was a real struggle. And while I know sometimes you need to see that I do struggle, I want to go, it's painful to watch. So I did cut it out, but do know that I do struggle with these cards quite a bit, and sometimes you just don't see it. There's often a struggle. So I'm admitting to that to y'all right now. So I do collage down on this card, putting some dictionary paper and antique newspaper, and I think there's an old report card from somebody and more of that artist almanac, and I'm using that fluid matte medium. Just trying to get some things around on this card. Now, I wasn't super keen on this collage when I did it, so I'm going to add some gesso over it. But looking at it now, I really do like it. I think I just knew I needed a better base if I was going to put that forest green ink on there. So, and the thing is, y'all, is I don't have to use that prompt. I just felt like I wanted to. So, maybe not gesso. Instead, what I use is this Americana paint in sea glass. It's been my jam. If you've watched some of these videos, you know my love affair with this color. So I put it down. I got a little too much. Can you see how much I got there? Oh my gosh, far too much of that sea glass. So I go ahead and paint it all over my card, and then I'm going to take a key card or gift card and scrape off some of it, which makes me a little sad because it was a neat bit of a collage, and I'm trying real hard to get some of that off of there. I really should have put maybe some more water on there. See, here's some of the struggle that I was talking about. Is me regretting some of my decisions. I probably could have grabbed a baby wipe or something like that and wiped it back a little bit more, but it is what it is. So you can see I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what it is that I think I want to do. And what do? I grab something. I'm going to go ahead and dry it. And then I've got this, y'all, it might be Americana also, but it's some kind of fine liner paint thing that I was having trouble getting to work, and I finally got it to work. And can you see how gooky and weird it is? Yeah, I think I need to get rid of those. I bought those before I bought my actual needle tip fine liners that I could put whatever color I want into, but I was not feeling this. So I went ahead and brayered it out just to make it feel a little more normal. Because like I said, it was gunky. And I'm going to think. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this because, yeah, that gunkiness was gross. And so instead, for that movement that I was trying to get, I'm using a chunky Papermate pencil. And then I went and grabbed a set of stamps. I think these are from Bo Bunny. I couldn't tell you what the name of them are, but it has this feather on there with like either music notes. I think it's music notes. Yeah, it's music in it. And I'm using that forest green distress ink. Yep. And I decided to create like a pattern. So I'm going to stamp that feather one way and then the other way and then one way and the other way, just back and forth. I don't know if you can hear my elderly cat in the background hollering. I apologize if you can. It's her MO lately. The older she gets, the more ornery she gets. So we don't know what she's doing. So she was just in my lap, and she got out of my lap and went in the hallway and started hollering. So I don't know. All right, so I've got all that stamped, which adds some really neat texture on here. And I thought, okay, what I need is some black or something. So I'm going to start, actually, that's not black, is it? No, I needed some marks on here, I guess. And I'm splattering. This is a Stabilo all pencil in blue. I love this, and I like it with that sea glass paint. So I think that's why I thought I'd go in this direction. So I'm just splattering it on there, and then I will dry it as well. And y'all, this is totally not feeling like me. I think I wrote in my Instagram post about this that it felt a bit like chaos. So I don't know. This is Lucky Clover Distress Oxide that I put around the edges of this, and then I am activating it with some water. I often like how that Distress Oxide looks once it's been wet, and the excess I tried to splatter on there. So this was a bit of a struggle bus. So I said I cut out all the struggle for you. I cut out the struggle with the fabric. Some of this other struggle, no. Unfortunately, you have to go through it with me. Here's where I decided I needed something darker on here. So I grabbed some black acrylic paint, and I'm going to make some X's kind of all over the card. These kind of fat X's using a fairly thin flat brush. And yeah, these are interesting. And I wish I could tell you what paint that is. It could be a chalkboard paint from the Dollar Tree. It could be some craft acrylic paint. I'm not positive. But I'm just making these X's on here. And I like the bold statement they make. It definitely, yeah, it definitely is bold. What else can I say about it? So I get those done. You can see how I've mentioned before that a lot of times I avoid the center of my card, and I don't know why. So did you see how I worked on those two outer edges and finally was like, oh, Hope, just put something in the center. And I'm trying to even out some of the paint. I think there was a little bit of excess that I was trying to get it all evened out before I stare at it some more. Anytime I pick up a card, I'm trying to get a better look at it to think. Okay, so here I pulled out that rusty fabric, and I'm going to cut it down, and I'm going to clip ahead because you see it over there on the side. I ripped at it, I tore it, I pulled it down, I did all kinds of things and kind of put it to the side and was like, okay, I'll focus on it later. For now, what I want are these bits, these X's to kind of drip. So I used my Stabilo all in black and added some of that at the bottom of each of these. And I started to try to just use my my paintbrush to get the drips to happen, but that wasn't working. So instead I'm going to use my distress sprayer and come back here. Yeah, there we go. Now it's dripping nicely. And I don't know why I wanted these X's to drip. I think I felt like I needed some more grunge on here. Grunginess is definitely a little more my style than nice and neat. So all right, so I dried that, and then I'm coming in with a white pen. This is one of the Papermate Ink Joys in white. These are fairly new to me. But I'm doing just kind of scribbly circles in the middle of the black. I was trying to push the black back, oh, the tiniest of touches, because it is so bold. And then out comes the instant coffee that's dried up, and I activated it with my water, and I'm just going to use a paintbrush to kind of put it all over the card to get a bit even more grunginess, and then try that. It's this back and forth game, isn't it? So you can see, I stopped and I thought for a while, and I decided that what this really needed, because I had stamped those feathers on there, was a feather. And I had a feather that I had messed up in one of my 100-day projects. I had gotten some resin on it and it didn't do quite right. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use it on this card. So I got a little piece of scrap fabric from my stash, decided that I would back it with that scrap fabric, just kind of push that background, that chaos of the background into the background by layering the stuff up on the top of it. And I knew I was going to want a word, so I started flipping through some of my large print novel pages, and those are going to come in later. Next card, you'll see those again. But I'm using Fabri-Tac to stick down that fabric right in the center of my card, as well as stick down my feather. Yeah, I have found, I don't know if you've noticed, been using that thing that holds my bottle upside down and let it kind of drip down to the top, or while I do other things. So I've got those glued down, and I'm going to start looking through these large print pages till I finally find the word protected. And I decided, I don't know, I wanted a single word, something that would fit on top of that feather. I didn't want a whole lot of busyness, just something simple and easy, because there's so much going on this card. So I assume you saw that I inked the edges with more of that black soot that I used in the last card. I'm inking the edges of this word, and I believe I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac again, because I am sticking that little bit of fabric to the feather to stick that down, and then I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'll give you a quick look at this, and then we'll get to the last card of this video. On day 42, the prompts are racetrack and thread scraps. Y'all, I try to bring thread scraps into this toward the end of this video, but no, it's just not gonna happen. Neither one of them. And racetrack isn't, I don't know. I mean, I could convince you that I brought racetrack into this card, but it wasn't intentional. Yeah, maybe the word inspired some of the decisions I made, but no, it doesn't happen. Now, I told you I was going to bring some of those large print novel pages in. Here we go. I am collaging them straight down. A lot of times when I use those a lot, they get real floppy, like all the things I cut out of them. And they just, you can see all the holes in that, and it gets tough to manage. I end up tearing them, shuffling them around and all that. So I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead, tear them down, put them in my collage. And again, I'm using that fluid matte medium in this. It's a facial mask spreader. Yeah. And I'm gluing everything down. I do have this sped up quite a bit. Don't think I work that fast. I do not work that fast. And I'm trying to cover up, you can see some of the margins. I just wanted this to be like a flurry of words in the background. And then I dried this and trimmed my card up. Once I get it trimmed up, what do? I'm trying to remember. I think I'm going to come in with some distress stains. Now, they don't make these anymore, so it doesn't matter even what colors I'm using, but you can see it's if you really need to know, let me know and I'll go figure it out. But it's two of them. It looks like maybe moon grass and frayed burlap, maybe. I'm not positive, but I just stamped those because they've got those dauber edges onto the card, and I'm spreading it out. I've got some water on there, letting it be inky goodness. And I'm going to try this, and these colors do not stay this vibrant at all. Once this dries, they're going to be very subdued. And then, of course, I'm going to use a little bit of gesso here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to make some finger dots. It's one of my favorite things. I actually thought, looking at card 40, that's what I had done, were finger dots, and not that they were the woodies. But I do love some finger dots. So I am putting these across the card, and then I'm going to do something unprecedented because I've got so much gesso on my finger going onto these, and I know it would take forever to dry. I'm going to take another one of those book pages, put it over the top of this, and squash it. So squash it just like that. And this, of course, is going to make those dots kind of spread, and yeah, just like that. But it also takes up a bunch of that gesso that was there. Now I'm going to go around. Well, I think I am. What am I doing? Oh, I'm cleaning up that gesso that was on my desk so that I don't end up putting my hand or my card or something into it, because that would definitely be my MO. I will dry this real quick, and then I'm going around each of these dots as best I can with that black. Now, here's where I said I could fake that it is racetrack, because racetracks are black circles, basically, aren't they? And that's what we've got going on here, a bunch of black circles. But no, that's not what I was going for. So I am activating that Stabilo with a very wet brush, and y'all, I love that grunge. I love how dark that Stabilo gets. It's the reason I love that pencil so very much. I am splattering some of the excess around on the card, and then I think I'm gonna dry it. I decide that what I want to do, that flurry of words in the background was standing out too much, and I didn't want them to feel like there was something important in there. So I decided to do some mark making over it, and I'm using that same ballpoint pen, that cheap ballpoint pen again, to do lines. It's one of my favorite mark making marks, are just straight lines out from somewhere. So I did them up and down, kind of on the left and top, and then this right and bottom, I'm doing them more horizontally. So that's fills up that space, kind of pushes those words to the background, and from there, I needed something else on there, so I grabbed my Uniball Signo Gold gel pen to go over the top of where that Stabilo is, but just a little bit. And again, I could say this is racetrack, that's yellow lines on a racetrack. It's not. It's just me adding a touch of gold on here in the best place possible, which was on top of that black. And I'll bring the gold here in a minute. You can see right there, I've got a key on my desk that is a laser cut key. I believe I laser cut that on, I'm trying to see what I laser cut it on. I'm not sure. Maybe some wood, maybe cardboard. I don't know. Y'all, I'm touching it. I've got this in front of me, and I cannot tell you what I laser cut that on. Maybe some chipboard. I don't know. We'll get to it in a minute. For now, I decided to add a little bit of color on here, and I pulled out some Liquitex ink, and it's a green shade. I will have to put it in the description box below and tell you what that shade of green is, because I don't honestly know. I did splatter it on the card, trying to bring that green that I'd put in the background forward a bit. And then I grabbed this. It's a laser cut circle of corrugated cardboard. I pulled most of that top layer out, and then I've got some white acrylic paint. That's Lucas Titanium White acrylic paint that I put directly into that green ink. And yeah, I am mixing it up for this other greeny shade, which turns almost bluey. Do you see? Yeah, it's kind of a blue-green. It's almost like that sea glass color. But I'm painting that onto that corrugated cardboard, knowing that I would want some texture. And I like that the lines on this kind of match the lines I did in the background. And it also adds like a 3D element to this card. So that's what I was going for with this. I did splatter some more of the green on there and then dried everything. Here's that brown distress stain that I put on top of that corrugated cardboard, trying to bring out the textured surface of it a little bit more. But it being a distressed product, it is water reactive and kind of just soaks into everything. It doesn't, it's not as defined as I would have liked it to be, especially once I dry it and it fades again. I'm using walnut stain distress oxide there to go around the outside edges of this, and I'll probably activate them. But again, it's a distressed product. It's going to just kind of soak right into that cardboard. I had hoped that by using the Liquitex ink and that Lucas acrylic, that, you know, some of those things being permanent would kind of seal it. But no, all of this just gets real, I don't know. That green definitely pops. This never gets as grungy as I was hoping for. So I will dry it to try to firm it up. And then I'm coming in with, this is some gold acrylic paint from Modern Masters. It's their Olympic Gold. And I'm painting that key. And I really wish I could remember what I cut that key out of. And I am struggling. Yeah, I really don't know. But anyway, it was cut on the laser cutter. And, yeah. So I painted it with the gold paint. And I knew I was going to put it on that cardboard circle. So I'm going to look at it for a minute, twist things, turn things. I'm going to dry that gold paint super quick because, yeah, there wasn't much to it. I just wanted to make sure I didn't smear it. But I am going to use some walnut stain distress ink to ink the edges of this just to give it more of an aged feel to it before I futz with it just a little bit more. I swear I futzed with this far longer than really was necessary, thinking that I was going to lay it like that and then put some kind of sentiment above it, but I also inked the edges of the card just to kind of bring that walnut stain, you know, around the card as well. Oh, maybe I used black soot distress oxide. I see that over on the right side. Oh, I don't know. So I grabbed my small talk stickers also from Tim Holtz and found the phrase "adventure awaits you." Here's where I try to pull out some thread scraps, and I'm moving it around. It was just too much. I've already got so much going on this card that those thread scraps, I finally just gave up on them. I'm gonna, put them aside. Save them for something else, because there's just, between all the lines I already got going on here, the thread scraps just don't add anything. So I'm pulling out my Fabri-Tac, and I'm going to trim down that phrase that I have, and I think I'm going to ink the edges with more of the distress ink in walnut stain. Once I trim this down, I'm trying to get it nice and trimmed down because I don't have much room on that circle. And I'll stick the circle down using the Fabri-Tac. It doesn't take much to get that down. And I'll do the same thing with the little key that I've got. I'm trying to see. Can I see what it is on the back? I don't know, y'all. It's driving me crazy. Maybe it's something that I bought and not something I laser cut, but it looks like something I laser cut. It's driving me crazy. All right, so I've glued all those pieces down. I'm going to also, I guess, use the Fabri-Tac on, because I've got it sitting there on the sentiment as well, especially since I've got so many layers on that cardboard. And then once that is all glued down and done, I think that's going to be about it for this card. I hope you have enjoyed cards 40, 41, and 42. From me, if you have any questions or comments or anything, just, ask away down in that comment section. I would love to hear from you. If you like this, you know what to do. I will see y'all hopefully very soon with more videos. This shortened week has made things a little crazy for me, so I hope you'll forgive me for some sporadic posting here lately, though I'm sure you don't notice as much as I do. So, alright guys, thank you for spending this time with me. It means more to me than you know. Thanks. Bye.